So, our first speaker of the day is a program manager from Google. He has experience in program management with a demonstrated history of working in the internet industry, managing operations as well as designing programs. Please welcome on stage Mr. Manoranjan.
Hello. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi, people at the back. Hi. My name is Manoranjan. I'm a program manager at Google. And what I do is I take care of the Google Developer Groups program, Women Tech Pickers program, as well as whatever Android-related outreach that we do in India. Plus Firebase sometimes, but not a lot of times. Also, Android, Firebase, and machine learning are a couple of my few favorite topics that I love to speak about generally to people. How many of you have been associated with GDG Baroda like since 5+ years? Okay. How many of you have been associated more than that? How many of you have been associated with GDG Baroda since 2+ years? 3+ years? How many of you, for you, this is the first event that you are attending for GDG Baroda? Wow, nice. Okay, so I really love to see this when we have more people who are getting influenced by the power of community. And I hope you will keep this momentum going and keep attending more meetups. So the important aspect that I want you to remember is not to forget, apart from this talk, is to talk to the people who are sitting next to you and make sure you make acquaintance with them. I remember I have been associated with GDG Baroda since 2015 or so, when I used to do sessions here, right? Then eventually I joined Google later in a couple of years later and started to do what I love to do. Okay, now coming back to the talks, today I want to focus on two things primarily: how you can build and run successful apps using Firebase, Google Cloud, as well as could be on the web, could be using native Android, or could be Unity, basically 4 or 5 platforms that are available right now. So agenda is to focus on what an app developer journey is more like. So I would want to interact a lot with you. You can answer me in English, you can answer me in Hindi, you can also answer me in Gujarati. I speak all the 3 languages. Use cases, how Firebase and Google Cloud are a very good combination to talk about, as well as if there is some time, I can take a few questions later. So just to tell you, Firebase is being used by 2 million+ apps on the Play Store, correct? A couple of them famous apps are Flipkart. All of you use Flipkart? Most of you use Slack. I believe because you have got a ticket, you would definitely be using Slack. Okay. Pinterest is there, PayPal is there, Swiggy is there, American Express is there. It's a payments from the payment section. Now coming back to the app developer journey. Okay, can somebody tell me what is a typical app developer journey? All of you are developers, agree? What is the first step you do when you want to make an app? Yes, please. Yeah, you can say. Okay. Can't hear you. Okay. Yes. Okay. More? Yes. Okay. Anybody else want to talk about? Sorry?
Do the Google, the how to achieve it.
Okay, how to make this app? Or can I download a prototype of this ready-made app? Okay. Yeah, there's nothing wrong in doing that, you know. Anybody from the left would like to answer? Yes. That's also totally all right.
First of all, we should be passionate about what we are doing.
That sounds so
Hello.
perfect. Anybody from the left? Any takers from this side? Yes. Yeah, both of you can go after.
Like building an MVC,
Okay.
we should focus on building an MVC very first and validate what we are solving or building for.
Do you want to say something? Okay.
Going to build an app. So first we will talk what we are building and how to think.
Okay. Yes.
Understand the end users and usage of that.
Okay.
Identify a problem statement and then bifurcate about what further technologies and tools we are willing to use, and then go forward with the development and prototype part.
Okay. I'll come back to the slides now. Thank you for all of your amazing answers. There will be more things I'm going to ask. The next slide. Two important things that you forgot about to talk is, one is user journey. It's extremely important. What does the user feel about your app? And second is this weird object that a lot of people hate to do, is writing test cases. How many of you write test cases for your apps? How many of you testing is optional? Come on. Okay. So this is what the typical app developer journey looks like. Create, by developing an app and creating a business. Okay. Second is connect. You want to connect with a lot of users and scale your app through multiple channels and platforms. Could be Slack, could be referral programs that you are running, scratch card business. If somebody refers or uses the app, you give them a scratch card or a discount. Then is scale. It could be through in-app purchases, could be could be ads, as well as sending notifications so that more people come onto your apps. For example, Swiggy, 12:30 you get a notification, are you feeling hungry? Right? So this is a classic example of keeping you engaged while using an app. And the last part you want to do is automate. Basically, it could be cloud solutions, then use data analytics and insight to get an idea of how people use your app. So a lot of people sometimes ask me, how do I make my app have 1 million downloads? Correct? You might be having an amazing app, so what usually lacks in these cases, you are not engaging your user enough. For example, like a food app will do send notifications at 12:30, are you hungry? Some other app will do, like even if you are using a society management app, it will still send you notifications of things that you can keep your house safe. Correct? So you can use something similar. We'll talk about it. And then eventually use machine learning. It could be in-app machine learning on the device, or it could be server-side. So we'll also touch base on when do you use in-app or on-device ML, as well as when do you use the server-side ML. How do you use Google, basically, to empower you through the app developer journey? So you can create an app on cloud, Android, Flutter, as well as IoT hardwares that we have available. And then you can connect or basically publish your apps using Play Store. You can advertise about it on YouTube. You can have it like, make an agent for it with the help of which you can talk to it on an assistant. And then you can scale through in-app ads, selling some components of it through Play Store. And then you can automate using cloud solutions, which is Google Cloud. And then use Firebase for data analytics and insights. And then use Cloud ML to do your machine learning part, which could be on the server or on in-app ML side. So these are a couple of solutions that are already using automation, like Halfbrick, Unity, and Design. So Cloud Auto ML is used by Design and is being developed by Google 10 plus years. For example, there are a couple of applications or services that you can use for Google that have already been in development. The latest one is Lambda. If you have heard about it, Lambda was talked about in the last version of Google I/O before COVID, on how there's an agent that can actually take phones for you, talk to people. It is not yet available while it was launched 4 years back, because We stress a lot on spending cycles, making it pretty much perfect for users to be able to use, especially when some solution has AI in it. Because we have like 6 to 7 principles of AI that we believe in. Now, couple of trends that I actually feel will revolutionize apps is AR, VR, XR, AR Core, Metaverse. So if you know Bangalore Airport Terminal 2, you can take a journey of it through the Metaverse. That's one thing. AI and machine learning. Also, a very important difference is to realize when you don't have to use machine learning and when you need to use machine learning. Every app doesn't need to have machine learning, right? It can work perfectly well without using ML in it. Connectedness, so it could be, you are developing, how many of you are Flutter developers? Okay. And why do you use Flutter to develop your apps? Okay. How many of you use Flutter to develop your apps because it's easier than native Android? Come on. Correct. That's also one of the primary reasons. And then voice assistant. People want to talk to their apps. People want to, what we have observed is hands-free behavior is something very important and people lay a lot of stress on that. So that's also what I feel could be the future of how do you interact with your devices. Now, we'll talk about Firebase overview or each phase of the app life cycle. So each phase of the app life cycle requires different tools. So the first one is develop, where you are doing things like data authentication, backend compute, and then you're testing your app. Could be repeated cycles of text, and then you fix before you actually do a release cycle for your particular app. The second part is run, where you have finally published your app on the Play Store, and then you are doing release management. You are running analytics to find out how the user is behaving with your app, as well as what are the new things that user expect from your app. So could be in form of taking an app feedback. And the last one is crash reporting. So you also want to know when your app is crashing and what kind of particular behavior the app is crashing, which is called beta testing or dog fooding or whatever you might say. And the last part is engage, where you try to give a more personalized experience to your app. So if you relate to, what is the app that you use the most? Sorry? WhatsApp? Everybody uses WhatsApp? Do you know when WhatsApp was available to public? No. Yes, WhatsApp was there in 2009. Has anybody used WhatsApp in 2009? Okay. So you started to use WhatsApp in 2009. Okay. That time the app was literally very, very bad. There was literally nothing. And second, it was not very engaging because many of my contacts were on WhatsApp. It was still a pretty new thing. And the only thing it could do was sending and receiving messages, and also it was supposed to only do that. But now if you see how the app has developed, now it is more personalized to your needs, right? You're able to do a lot more things than just sending SMSs. You can chat using GIFs. You can send money on it, as well as share live location to your friends, which also addresses some safety features. So a lot of things you can do. So what I would want you to do is, whenever we are going through these slides, you associate the slide with an app that you use very readily. Could be WhatsApp, could be Swiggy. I would want to associate it with Swiggy. I love ordering food. Okay. So it could be anything that you want to associate with. Now, Firebase allows you to do all of these things, correct? How many of you already use Firebase? How many of you want to use Firebase? How many of you do not want to use Firebase? Correct. So this is primarily to get an idea of how things work and what are the features that are available on Firebase that you can use in your apps. So Firebase is a platform of tool and cloud services. It primarily runs on Google Cloud. So you can assume that it is very, very robust in terms of having runtime. There's pretty much no downtime, as well as latency can totally depend on which data center you are on. So in India, we have 2 data centers now. So there are 2 regions, cloud regions that are available, and you can use any of those apps. So Firebase kind of allows you to do all of those things from end to end. And we have pretty much migrated most of our services to Firebase. The last important was where we used, migrated to FCM, the Firebase Cloud Messaging Service, from GCM. It was long, long back. That was one of the most important features, correct? So it again kind of divides into two parts, build applications and then operate applications. So this is the build part where you are talking about authentication. So cloud functions are basically small nifty functions that you can use to do a particular job or to do a particular task. It's like literally a key to open few things, right? And then you can use cloud, Firestore, ML Kit for your all machine learning needs, on app or on the server side, cloud storage for storing your application or data, as well as hosting, and then real-time databases. That's what Firebase is supposed to do. Or before Google actually acquired Firebase, it was just known as a real-time messaging database platform. And the application that Firebase would onboard you as a simple chat that you can use to chat with your friends in real time. Okay, and then improve app quality using Crashlytics, performance monitoring, test lab, which allows you to run tests, which is very important. And the last one is drive engagement, how you can use the power of analytics, as well as figure out how your user behaves or interacts with an app to actually drive engagement. So this kind of allows you to go to that 1 million download that all of you are looking for. It's just not having a great app, it's also talking to your users and giving them a more personalized experience that helps. So these are a couple of cloud functions. You can use Firebase authentication that supports email and password authentication by Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Google Sign-On, the SSO that you can integrate using that. So cloud functions for Firebase or cloud functions if you are GCP, if you have used GCP, is pretty much the same thing. Cloud storage for Firebase is where all of your data is directly stored, as well as it kind of uses the Firebase SDKs. Firebase database is a cloud. Firestore is a NoSQL database that you can use for your mobile and web apps. And Firebase hosting is where you deploy your apps basically. These are like few couple of things that you can just remember on top of your mind. That's all you have to do about it. Now ML Kit for Firebase allows you to do on-device ML as well as server-side ML. Now why on-device ML? How many of you use the face security feature on your phones? Okay. How many of you use the fingerprint feature on your phone to unlock your phones? Correct. So all of these are actually on-device ML. Why? Because of security reasons. None of the mobile companies want or would store your biometric data onto your server, onto their servers directly. Just imagine you're not connected to the internet and you want to unlock your phone. It won't. If server-side ML is happening, correct? Only if it's on the device side, it helps you to do that because it works when it's offline. It gives more privacy. There's no data usage as such. Everything is on your phone. It's real time and the latency is also very, very low. So latency is mostly on what kind of camera is used on the selfie side, as well as some of the mobile applications, OEMs also use infrared sensors to map the contours of your face. Thus, on-device ML kind of works in these scenarios, okay? And there could be other scenarios where you do not use on-device ML because there's no capabilities or large computing sources that is available on your phone. So how do you engage with Firebase? So understand user base and personalize your app experience to reduce the churn. So understand, experiment, retain, and acquire. Let's talk about in detail before that. So coming on to this interesting feature called Test Lab. Anybody has tried Test Lab? Anybody has an idea for Test Lab is or what do you understand from it? Okay, people who do testing, can I just see your hands back again? Okay. People who do not do testing, can I just see a show of your hands? People who do not want to do testing and just deploy and get done with it. Okay. So what are your challenges? For example, if you want to launch an Android app, right? What are your challenges that you see? Yes. Yes.
Test Lab is providing a solution for that, and having virtual devices to test your application when you upload the APK file to it, and it will give you a result of that kind of screenshot, videos, and performance analysis and scalability, and what kind of UI improvement you need to do.
Correct. So just imagine the pain of having a 50 devices at your home, and you are running tests on all of those devices parallelly. Okay. So if you are doing it at your home, either is your electricity bills will also go very high if you are running continuous tests. Consequences of that is it also acquires a lot of space at your home. And third is you also need to bear a lot of grunt from your parents of running this many devices at home. Like one phone was not enough and now you have 50 of them. Parallel scenario is if you have used Android Studio in the past, you can use virtual machines basically to run those tests. But then just imagine the limit of it. 16 GB RAM, 64 GB RAM, 128 GB RAM, there's never enough. How many size of RAM? So it started with, so when I started to first use computer, 512 KB was a big, 256 KB was a big thing of RAM, and 512 was like kind of God. Now people are like 32 GB RAM, that's a bus. Okay. Same with internet speeds and connection. That time you have to have a dial-up of 64 kbps and then like 1 Gbps of 5G is still like, does not care. How many of you use 5G by the way? Okay. So my question is, what do you plan to use with your 5G speeds? Nothing, right? I think 3G was enough technically if you see at it good connection. So coming back to it, Test Lab kind of takes the problem out of the window. You don't need to have 50 devices at your home. You don't need to run a lot of virtual machines on your computer. So 8 GB RAM would still do the job, or 4 GB, whatever you have. You can run as many devices or deploy devices using Test Lab. So there could be 50, there could be 60 from different mobile manufacturers. Because, so there are two kind of scenarios here when you use other phone or if you are using iOS, right? It's not like iOS runs on or is being used by different manufacturers. For example, Android is a very wide ecosystem. It's not just Pixel phones, but there are Samsung phones, there are OnePlus phones, there are Oppo phones, or like name not. There are phones starting from 5,000 going up to lakhs in the Android ecosystem. So it's very difficult for you also economically to, or for your company to invest on those devices, because manufacturers also want their phones to be sold. So they keep launching new phones every 6 months or 1 year. Okay? In these cases, Test Lab kind of helps you to address that scenario. You can have 10 OEMs running with your app on it. Continuous tests being run for 24 hours a day, right? And then eventually you can see what the result is, and based on that, improve or fix what's not working, and then eventually go into the release cycle. You can try it out on Firebase. There's a free tier if you haven't tried out yet that allows you to do that. Now, Crashalytics. So it gives you a very, very detailed view of what's happening. So if you see the issues, right? The issue that's the first one is was being faced on iOS 11, and which line that needs to be fixed. Crashalytics also kind of give you data on that, okay? How many users are impacted by that? 52 users are impacted. 89 count of such crashes has happened. Eventually, it also gives you on a normal Android device, as well as what's the Swift code, what is the speed as well, what is the reduction in speed, okay? How many crashes are there? Event trend, 203 crashes. 232 users are affected overall, and it is increasing by a rate of plus 6.9%, which is higher. And what amount of crashes were non-fatal? Like, it did not impact how the phone you were, how the app you were using. For example, how many of you actually report back to the developer whenever you have a crash? How many of you click on not now? Come on. Okay. So you should actually report back to the developer if you want to have a good app experience. That's what I would encourage. So this could be you are trying to click on a button and the button click did not execute. Okay, and you clicked on it again, and this time the button click executed. So that's kind of a feedback that you can submit to the developer, and it's a non-fatal sort of a crash if you want to consider. In the first instance, the button did not behave or did not had expected behavior. In the second instance, the button behaved as expected. So that could be done. And how many amount of crash-free users are there? It also gives you an idea of that. 98.61% is an amazing percentage of people not experiencing any crash on your production deployed application. So Crashlytics dashboard gives you a complete idea about that. Now coming into if you want to understand an idea, okay, or if you are selling something on your app, then you would want to understand, okay, how many people are actually buying on your app? What are the in-app purchases? What is the total value of that? From which location you actually get in-app, you are getting buyers from, okay? How many of you used Google Ads? Could be on your app, could be on your website. How many of you are bloggers out there? So blogging was a very big thing in the past. When would people monetize their websites as well? Okay. So one of the important streams of revenue whenever you deploy an app is in-app ads, in-app purchases. How many of you play games? How many of you buy features inside a game? Okay. This is not a big thing in India yet, but outside India, people still spend a lot of money. Could be buying coins to upgrade their guns in the game, right? So we are getting to it maybe sooner, but those are in-app ads. So India traditionally have been a market that what Google has analyzed is believes in free stuff, honestly. Not a joke. So we do thorough research whenever we launch an app. So I'll give you an instance when Jio revolutionized the internet space in India. From a GB of data costing 256 rupees now to around 7 or 8 rupees. We launched. It's a crash. Okay, by the time it is fixed. So we launched a user study, mostly in the rural parts of India, basically. This was to get an idea of how users use YouTube as a video platform to consume content. Couple of interesting insights we found out was people still download videos and share it to other with Bluetooth. Okay, that's still a hot thing if you go to rural areas. Because one is they do not understand, like it's still 7 or 8 rupees, they still feel the phone service provider will still charge them a lot of money or will still charge a bomb eventually. There's still an aspect that exists. Second is important insight for app developers is people still believe the phone should have a large screens. So what we figured out was people expect at least a 6 inches display on their phones. And the average money they want to spend on your phones is 6 or 7K. That's one of the insight. And another one was they involved in a lot of short content videos. So there are two things that were popular that we observed was one is people download movies watching on their phones and second using or listening to music that was like a short in duration. So YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels kind of are a product of all those research eventually, which a lot of companies did. So based on that, we launched something called as YouTube Go. It works on low latency as well as there are different Go version of apps called Gmail Go, Google Search Go. This is like light version of, let's say, any particular app that exists in the market right now. You can also focus on that if you have a lot of, so this is also a way of engaging with your users, right? Users who don't have large processing power wala phones or can spend a lot of money on buying data. Even though we have 4G reach available, but at a lot of rural places, it's still pretty low in terms of the speed that it gives. Same, that's why I asked you how many of you use 5G and what do you use 5G for? In my understanding right now, it's just a battery burner on your phone. So coming back to predictions, so prediction uses your project's analytics, events data to help you understand how user will behave in your app, okay? So this can be used to do targeted in-app notifications or to send push notification. So you actually kind of profile your users. This is the important part that I want to focus on, is the user journey. Everybody, I believe, can develop an app. Everybody, I believe, can develop an amazing app and deploy it. Now the part comes on how do you actually engage with your app. So if you want to make money, you need to understand who will spend money on your app. You need to literally profile your user. So how many of you actually spend money on apps right now? See, how many of you want free stuff? No, it's an honest question. Okay. So how many of you as developers expect to earn from your app? So see, this is the interaction. This is the intersection. A user persona qualifies into both the parts. One, I don't want to spend money. One, I also want to make money from others on my app. So that's the problem you need to address. So it's like right now we have a crowd of 200, out of that around 3 people raised, okay, I spend money on the app. So you need to profile such users. This could be based on the behavior they show on their particular apps when you're using something, right? So if it's a food related app, of course people are going to spend money. But if it's an app where people consume content, then it becomes difficult to understand. So you can use several techniques, do user studies to intercept those behavior, okay? So here it comes this part, right? Who will spend money or who will spend at least anything to get or make some, so that I as a developer can make money. Another option is who will share apps with friend. A lot of times, a lot of apps actually do that. 3 or 4 days later after you have used the app, they ask you, do you like our app? How many of you say no thanks? How many of you actually give feedback that I like your app? So you should actually do that. So developer also gets an idea of how many people actually are using their app with the intent it was designed to. How many of you share apps with your friends? Whenever you like something, not for the referral. Okay. That's also something that users, that the app developer want to understand, which they can use using the predictions API. Okay. So you can turn predictions on or you can turn predictions off. I would recommend turning it on if you are using Firebase. Give you a very clearer idea, not in depth, but it can still help you to solve a lot of changes. Remote config. A lot of times, so right now we have the Christmas season around. A lot of people or app developers have turned their icon having some snow on it or wearing a Santa Claus cap. Okay? All of you have experienced this, at least in some way? So this is something that can be done using remote config as well. App developer, people who are app developers here, can you just tell me the pain about doing every release cycle? How much time does it take? Any estimate? And then you also have to submit the app, which will take its own sweet time to be published. Correct. So if I tell you, I have to do a very small change, your app developer is literally going to run behind you with a bat. Because it takes like a lifetime for, it's almost take a couple of days for him, especially in holidays time seasons, could be Diwali, could be Uttarayan, or could be literally anything. So remote config kind of allows you to do small nifty changes, not big changes. So the app has already been deployed and you see, okay, I want this feature to be available. Could be if you're using Ola cabs, the cab turns into green, red, or green, red, and white, 3 colors. Okay. So those kind of features can be pushed through remote config without redeploying your app all over again or pushing the change all over again. Another important thing that we also have in Firebase is A/B testing. So test developers here again. How many of you know what's A/B testing? Can you tell about it? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So whenever you are doing a particular update, if you and your friends are using the same app, sometimes you would notice they have particular feature on their app and you don't have it. And you are so impressed by that feature that you go on and want to compare the app version they have and you have. And then you also want to go to the Play Store and see when they updated their app and when you updated your app. So, and you realize everything is the same. So A/B testing is kind of testing a particular feature of your app on a subset of your users. Could be 10 people out of 1,000 or could be 100 people out of 1,000. So Firebase kind of also allows you to do that. So it could be also deploying a particular strategy so that users spend more money. Because as an app developer who have built amazing app, now my intention is just to milk all the cash cows that we have. Okay? And convert somebody who is, so one is I make people so interested in my app, it could be a gaming app, so addicted that now you want to spend money because you want to go to that next level. That's kind of like an amazing strategy, but it kind of also makes you addict for this app. So now you need to draw a clear line where to stop. So this is how it can be defined. Percentage of target users that you want to use this app. Then what kind of prediction that I have already collected, which is related to spend I am using right now. So after I click next, 30% of my users will see this. Okay. So here, what change that we are trying to show people is, so this is about an app which sells, it's an e-commerce app basically. Now, what change I am pushing this is the 25% of users will first see expensive things first. Does anybody sort the search results by expensive first? Do you do that? How many of you do that? High to low, cost-wise. Okay. So you are in the top 25%. Congratulations. Second one is, how many of you do cheapest first? Right. So this is the type of user that an app developer would want to address and convert them to the first category. And the last one is sale item first. It could be just a general category or matching the prevalence or what you have literally searched for. So once I click next, then the metrics that I want to track could be what is the retention for next 4 to 7 days and what is the daily user engagement. Based upon this, I can actually get a very clear idea of how many users are actually using this particular feature, right? So now I have like 450 users are being using the variant expensive first. Okay, so these are totally new subset of users. This is not part of the same set that existed. And we are running this test from like only for 1 month. So engage your users with targeted notifications. Could be cloud messaging, could be done from the console if you're using GCP directly. Could be in-app messaging, where you send messages to your users inside the app itself. Could be a pop-up where you're saying, hey, do you know about this offer that we are running? If you're using the MyGeo app, they can kind of continuously send you a pop-up, get your SIM delivered to your home. Okay. For food, it could be anything else. Second is cloud messaging plus function. Where you kind of use the Firebase functions existing that are available to engage with your users. Could be push notification, which has an ad enabled, embedded in it, basically. So it counts how many users are actually clicking on that ad. Could be through just with the help of a notification. Couple of use cases. So here, the use cases developed with Firebase. A shorter time to market with app building blocks and fully managed backend. So what you are seeing is a user, sign in, authentication, the data is uploaded, the authentication data, and then it is being scanned, and if it's authenticated, that kind of opens up. So what we are trying to do is an OCR, basically. How many of you know what is an OCR? Can anybody tell what is OCR? Full form of OCR? Okay, so I have an app which has to do OCR. So if you know, a couple of years back, education boards also used to have OCR related mark sheets. So this could be just with the help of that. I just take my phone out, take a photo, and want to get an idea of how many people have answered it correctly. Okay, so this kind of setup completely does that. So we use MLKit, Cloud Firestore, and then we notify the user, okay, 45% of people have given the correct answer. And 55% of the people have not given a correct answer. This is a traditional way. Now, if you run with Firebase and you want to confidently roll out new features, is you upload a new version to your favorite app store, and then you want to roll out to only one person, basically a feature that you are enabling with the help of remote config. And then you are using Crashlytics to monitor that. And then with remote config, you are also using Google Analytics to get an idea of how the users are behaving, or is the behavior intended as you want. And then Crashlytics will allow you to do a performance monitoring of your app. How many app crashes are there? If something is to be fixed, if it's while executing, which is the line that needs to be fixed. As we saw, it was the 71st line. That can be done. And then you use BigQuery for regression detection. And then if you feel, okay, this feature is ready and can be rolled out to everybody. So now people who are on the same app version will also start to see that feature. So that's how a release happens. It's not like I have some feature that I want to give it to the public and I would give it to everybody at the same time. It needs to happen phase-wise. Firebase is also a complete app development platform. This is the same thing that I already spoke about. So coming to the end, if you want to learn more about how Firebase works, so this is like I literally touched the tip of the iceberg. You can go to firebase.google.com to find out more data, basically, or read more about the functions that I spoke to you about, as well as the features that are available. You can also know or find out more videos where how to do a particular thing is mentioned on youtube.com/Firebase, as well as join the community over there. You can talk to me on Twitter at _Manoranjan. And if you want to know more at what Google we are doing for developers, you can follow us at @Google Devs. I have only 2 minutes left, so I won't be able to take any questions, but I'm still around through the day. So if you have any questions or if you want to talk to me about anything, Firebase, not Firebase, Android in general, I would be happy to do that. Coming to an end, so thank you.